most important thing. Okay.
Is that working?
It should be working.
Okay.
And the big button advances the slides. Okay, so next we have Saavidra Perera, who's going to tell us about a socio-demographic insights into the Exoplanet direct imaging community.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Fabulous. Okay, so hopefully everyone is aware that there is a survey going around with the intention of learning about the demographics and the well-being of our high contrast imaging community. And so this is the third survey that we're doing. And what I'm going to show today are the results from the second survey. All of the plots are from a peer-reviewed paper that came out last year. And for this paper, we worked with someone from the social sciences who works specifically in EDI and has a dissertation in EDI, so equity, diversity, and inclusion within STEM, to help with this. So, it took us a few years to get those results out, and it only takes you 5 minutes to fill out the survey, so please do that. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the organizing committee for including this in the agenda, and in doing so acknowledging that this is an important conversation for us to be having. And I want to give a shout out to all the people who took part in putting this paper together. This effort was in huge part led by Lucy, who unfortunately isn't here, but there is a bunch of us. Okay, here at the bottom of the slide that are here this week, so please do come chat to us. Okay, so here's the QR code. Oh no, sorry. Here's the QR code for that paper, and here are all of the sections that are in that paper. I couldn't possibly go through all of it. What's highlighted in black is what I'm going to try and touch on today. And so as we kind of go through these results, I really hope that everyone takes time and thinks about that this isn't our community. This isn't physics as a whole. This isn't astronomy as a whole. This is specifically the high contrast imaging community. The people who filled out this survey are those who attended the Spirit of Leo conference back in 2022, a lot of whom are here today, right? So please bear that in mind as we go through. Okay, so a survey was sent out like this to the attendees of the Spirit of Leo 2022 conference. 96 people responded. That's 44% of those who attended. I think 2026 we can do better. I'm just going to put that out there. And so we looked at a number of different demographics. So that was position, gender, expatriation, underrepresentation, expertise, location, and parenthood. What's in black is the ones I'm going to focus on today. So if we look at position, 46% of those who filled out the survey were students, 32% postdocs, 18% faculty, and 4% other. That is not representative of who was participating. Faculty, notably, is underrepresented there. In terms of gender, we had 53% male, 43% female, and 4% non-binary. I actually forgot to put in the numbers. This is also not representative of who attended. Male attendees were about 67%. So again, also underrepresented. If we put these two together to see what the gender demographics are as we move through different stages in our career, we can see that 50% of those who answered this survey were female at the PhD level, 41% male, highlighted by the light green, at PhD level, and then 9% non-binary. As we move to later career stages, this drastically reduces. And so this could be because just more junior female and non-binary individuals are coming into the field. It could also mean that more are leaving as they move in their career. So it's hard to say from the single snapshot, but what we're looking at could very well be the leaky pipeline. I also want to note, in order to ensure the anonymization of the non-binary participants moving forward for the rest of this talk, we'll be grouping female and non-binary together. Okay, so 40% of the participants said they were expats, and a third said they belonged to an underrepresented group within astronomy. When we say underrepresented, in this case we mean we were talking about ethnicity, disability, and sexual orientation. For those who had filled out the form, you might notice it's slightly different this year. In France, it was illegal to ask about race, and so since a lot of those who were involved with the French nationals, we didn't do that in the last 2 surveys. Okay, so let's look at some of the results. When we look at recognition within publications, we asked, have you ever felt unfairly absent from the list of co-authors of publications between January 2020 to June 2022? On average, 22%, which is the light green here, said they were unfairly absent. Across the board, all demographics had people who said they were unfairly absent, but certain groups had higher proportions than others. So if we look at these individually, postdocs said on average roughly 1 in 3 said they were unfairly absent. Also true for female and non-binary, but this is double the amount of the male participants. This is also very similar for those who belong to an underrepresented group. And with expats being also saying that they're unfairly represented, a higher proportion than those who are nationals. So moving forward, we need to be mindful about who we're including and who we're excluding in our publications. If you haven't already done so, it's worthwhile considering having a code of publishing conduct within your consortia. Okay, we then asked about experience of disrespect. So disrespect, we said, was that behaviors that can make you or somebody uncomfortable. We gave a bunch of examples, which included someone talking over you, or expecting certain social roles, for example, juniors or female researchers, for example, like taking notes, planning social events, and so on. So there's a lot that's happening in this plot. So I'm going to try and simplify this a little bit. So the light green and the dark green essentially is saying, yes, I've experienced disrespect, right? So that is more than 1/3 of our community is saying they experienced disrespect within the time frame of January 2020 to June 2022, so within a 2.5-year time frame. Of those people who have experienced disrespect, 60%, which is a slight green, 56%, said they did receive support, with the dark green and yellow collectively saying that they did not receive support. Okay, so the groups who had the highest proportion who said they had experienced disrespect were postdocs, expats, but in particular, female, non-binary, and underrepresented individuals, with both of those groups saying 50% had experienced disrespect. That is double the amount of male participants and participants who do not consider themselves as being part of an underrepresented group. And yet, they were the ones who received the least support, with more than 50% of them not receiving support. Again, substantially higher than the group counterparts. So moving forward, we need to acquire and spread more knowledge through talks or training or so on to be able to interpret situations of disrespect better as someone who witnesses them, and to constructively react and support those who are subjected to disrespect, and for them to have mechanisms in place to find support as well. We asked the same question for inappropriate behavior. We gave a long list of examples of this. Some of this included sexual harassment, racist jokes, preventing someone from attending meetings. And so for inappropriate behavior, we found that nearly 1 in 4 of the people within our community are experiencing inappropriate behavior, and only 60% of them are getting support. The groups that experienced had the high proportions of inappropriate behavior were PhDs and postdocs, and in particular, female non-binary, where over 1 in 3 of our female non-binary members have experienced inappropriate behavior, again, between January 2020 to June 2022, so only in a 2.5-year time period. That is substantially higher than the 1 in 10 of the male participants. Those who received the least support were PhD students, and in particular, underrepresented individuals, with 50% of them saying they did not receive support when they experienced inappropriate behavior. So, I mean, we collectively need to improve the safety of, in the workplace, right? We need to, for everyone, we need to highlight effective support and procedures for those who witness inappropriate behavior and for those who are victim to inappropriate behavior. Okay, to end on a slightly more positive note, allyship. We found that 83% of people consider themselves to be an ally, with 82% wanting to have more information about allyship, which I think is really, really positive. It is worth noting that postdocs, expats, female and non-binary, and underrepresented individuals had higher proportions of those who considered themselves to be an ally and also who wanted more information about allyship. But also people who didn't consider themselves an ally also wanted information on allyship, with that being about 36%. So I think this is really positive, right? Like, this is a strong request from our community to learn more about how to support one another in this community. And we could do this through organizing talks at conferences about discrimination, about allyship, and so on. But I think it's really important that we listen to this request from our community. So just to kind of conclude on that, the idea of having this survey and have this at each of these Spirit of the O's is to see how things are changing over time and for us to communicate the well-being of our community. We saw that traditionally those who belong to less discriminated groups were less likely to fill out the survey. And so it's really important that everyone does this. All voices are important. Whether you think this is for you or not, whether you've had great experiences, we need to hear that as well. Otherwise, it does bias our results. And so, slowly running out of time. Well, I'll just say, okay, we have a long way to go, but 82% of us really wanted to know how better to support each other in this community. And so the first thing you can do to be a better ally is to fill out the survey. We are trying to, this is the first year we're trying to make it a little bit broader than the conference. So please do distribute this to anyone you know who's part of the high contrast imaging community who's not here. Do check out the paper. There's so much information in there. If you're looking for resources and references about EDI within STEM, marginalized groups within STEM, intersectionality, which is a whole beast within itself, please do check that out. If you're interested in getting involved in this third cycle, this third iteration, come chat to any of us. We're super excited to have more people get involved. And I know this is kind of a tough time at the moment, but in a world where you can be anything, please be kind. Thank you.
And I believe there are links to the survey as well in Slack that you can find.
Just to update on that, I think the previous QR code that we had is no longer working, so this is the updated one.
Yeah.
Please use that.
This works. Okay, any questions?
So speaking as a white male senior researcher, I had one realization during this talk, which is my annoyance at filling out a questionnaire about all of my researchers and how well they contributed to the paper, taking all this extra time during the paper submission process. I realized that that is part of my duty as a senior researcher, as a lead author of a paper, to consider all of the folks who have contributed to the work that you have done and make sure that they are fairly included.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that comment.
I was wondering when you looked at people who experience undesirable behaviors, did you look into what was this like? Was there people of a similar career stage? Was there imbalance of power? What kind of interactions, one-on-one versus group interactions, led to these kind of undesirable behaviors?
Yeah, so we didn't on this survey, but we did on the next one because we want to understand that if there are power dynamics and things that are at play there. So that's an update that we've made to this new survey.
So this is a little bit of thought for the next time you or this group of people or some other group of people do this for the next meeting or any meeting, is to think about how you can design the survey to encourage full participation or more participation and also unbiased participation in the sense that with these topics, there can be very self-selecting in terms of the people who respond. So my example would be, for example, Russia. When you do a poll in Russia, you do not ask a direct question about what do you think about Vladimir Putin? And instead, the pollsters have become very clever at asking in indirect ways that basically get at the same information. And so there isn't an easy mapping, of course, to this situation, not yet. But I would encourage you to look at that, at those techniques that they use.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a subtlety here with that. This is a multicultural group, right? The way we interpret things, the way that we will respond to certain questions are also going to be different. So it is also hard to do that on a great scale. But if I don't know if I have time, but I would like to ask, what does stop folks from filling out the form? If anyone wants to give us some, oh, we got a hand. I would love to know.
Ben Mazine, UCSB. I get 3 to 4 surveys per week from everyone, my department, my university, every professional society, every company I deal with. So if I filled out every survey, I would spend 2 hours a week filling out surveys, so I don't do it.
I mean, I definitely appreciate that. I think this is part of why it's also at a conference setting, right? We have so many breaks, and that's done purposely. It takes 5 minutes, but I appreciate that fatigue over surveys. Poor Wi-Fi.
I just wanted to ask if maybe in the next Spirit of Leo, we can just build it into the schedule, and like at the end of this presentation, just say, everyone right now, open your computers, take 5 minutes and do it, right? Doesn't take that long.
Well, there is a break after 2 more talks, so please do it then. But yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I understand what you mean. Yeah, no, but I agree.
Or no survey, no cookie, or no swag.
Oh, yes.
Lay down the law, yeah. Great talk.
Oh, I think.
Oh,
I did.
one more. Okay, sorry.
Thank you so much for a really interesting talk. Really cool is maybe not the right word, but very interesting to see these results. We obviously have a very technically diverse community here. I was wondering if you have any information about the breakdown between the theorists, the observers, and the instrumentation community.
Yeah, I mean that's an awesome question. So I'll try. I realize we're over, but
Yeah.
okay. I had a bunch of backup slides. Okay. Yeah. So we're pretty dominated with observationalists and instrumentation. You can see that in the top pie chart. We did find that, generally speaking, if you look at being unfairly absent on papers, if you look at experience of disrespect and inappropriate behavior, it is higher for instrumentalists compared to observers. So there is a difference, I think, there between those subgroups within high contrast imaging itself. Yeah.
That's very interesting. All right, everybody, let's thank Saavidra again. Thank you.